Hey everyone, thanks again for joining me on Sealed for Good. If you haven't subscribed, please remember to do so. But today I'm talking about our Express range primers, ones that come up all the time and questions get asked and become more popular with sales. Our H2O Express primer and our SP primer. And hang around, because at the end of the episode, I'll actually give you the direct summary of what the differences are between the two and when to use the two of them against each other. The H2O primer. This is a one component liquid primer, white liquid. It looks very similar to our GP primer, but works completely different. And you can put this on a damp concrete substrate or a mineral surface like a screed or a render. And what it does is two things. Firstly, for liquid membrane applications, it actually stops the vapors that will cause blistering. So it handles the residual moisture. But it can be used in tiling and rendering applications because it actually reacts with the cement in that screed or render and prevents the efflorescence effect because it penetrates. Now, those of you who have used it or seen it are quite amazed at times because you put it down as a white liquid, and then while it's drying, it actually has a green tinge, a light green tinge to it that is visible to the eye, and then it dries clear. When you see that green tinge, it actually is the reaction that the primer is having with the moisture in that surface. Now, sometimes people have said to us, Phil, no green tinge. I put it down as a white liquid and it just dried clear. That means you've got minimal moisture in there, but you can still use that primer because it will protect the surface from any residual moisture that could be blistering your membrane, and it's a good precaution to take. Now, this product is used over the E60 many times because it dries quicker. The difference is E60 will stop ahead of pressure or rising damp. This stops the moisture issues in a residual screed or concrete slab, but not from rising damp. So that's the difference there. But ideal for our liquid and our sheet systems. And like I said, it can even be used for tiling, over screeds where you may not have a membrane, but you want to stop any chance of efflorescence coming through. So great product to try out and fast drying. That's why it's in our Express range. The Gripset SP primer. This is a product that we use on non-porous surfaces, commonly used on things like Sky-On or similar substrates. It can be used on sealed surfaces that might have an old enamel paint that you can't remove, but you can still prime over and then get the membrane onto it. It dries very quickly and has fantastic coverage. A litre will go 10 to 12 square metres. And this is a product you can use. We use it commonly with our BRW and our Express Lay range with our sheets. You can use it with the liquid systems, but it was really set up more so to use with the sheet systems for the fact it leaves you a true surface. So if the surface has been finished nice and smooth, it won't impact the pattern or the texture of the surface. It goes that way. Unlike our OP that has that gridded surface, this is quite smooth and very easy to use. You roll it out and before you know it, it's dried and it allows you to get your job continued on and finished the same day. So, when would you use both H2O and SP primer? Well, H2O really does lend itself for external jobs. It's ideal for those areas where you're going to have that residual moisture that could blister your membrane. You may want to use it internally, but there's very few times where you're going to have the situation of blistering of an internal membrane like the Gripset 38 on a screed internally. The Gripset 38 can go on a damp surface, but if you put it on a damp surface outside, and there's some sunshine out there, the residual moisture could blister that membrane, whereas the H2O will prevent that. So you would use the H2O on a concrete slab or a screed or render that's primarily external before your membranes go down. The Gripset SP primer, the Express SP primer, you can use that both internal and external. The difference is that it will bond to the non-porous substrate. Now, it can have good penetration on a porous surface, but it's overkill. You'd use a product like the H2O or the GP primer on a porous surface, but the SP will bond to a sky-on surface or a sealed surface internally or externally. Things like magnesium board, there's a few of those products out there now that product's being used. And a whole lot of other really dense substrates that don't absorb. That's the product you use, vertical or horizontal. So you've got 2 Express primers in the range that within 15 minutes to half hour, you've got a window where you prime that surface and then you know that you can proceed on with the project. In general conditions, cold and warm. So particularly those winter months we're coming up to now, this is where the Express range really gives you the edge in your job and in your market and with your trade. If you've got any questions on these primers, don't forget to get hold of us on 1-800-650-435 or get on the phone to one of our friendly staff around the country. We're here to help you. Until next time on Seal for Good, I'll see you then.